You know, over the years I've had several people ask me if I would be able to teach them how to play, whether it was piano or bass or guitar or drums. My schedule really hadn't allowed me to give music lessons. So this series of videos will be designed to help anyone from a beginner to someone who's maybe seasoned, looking for just some encouragement, some tricks that I use, some techniques to take their playing and their musicianship to another level. Again, I'm not a PhD in music and I'm not a music instructor. I'm just a guy that loves to worship and loves to play. So I pray these videos will be of use to you and that through them you can grow and become a musician and a worshiper. May Yahweh richly, richly bless you. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about flow, how to flow when you're on keys. That's a terminology we use in our church. Flow is what you would use to create an atmosphere, if you will, whenever you have a speaker that's speaking and you're the only instrument up there is a piano. And just kind of getting a background, feel music, if you will. And you don't want to be too busy where you're distracting and bringing attention to yourself. But at the same time, you don't want to be monotonous and boring and kind of get into a little groove where you're like just stuck in a funk, right? So there's really no said this is how you do it. You're going to develop your own styles. You'll find that the longer you play, one of the things that'll happen is you'll have certain tendencies that you're going to develop. I'll give you an example. I was at Sam's one day and they had a couple pianos out, so I'm out there playing, and I met up with my wife. She was in one direction, I was in another, and she goes, "Man, it was the craziest thing. I heard someone playing. I was like, oh, that sure sounds like Meagle," which is what she calls me, and I was like, well, that's because it was. So they're not even knowing that I was playing, because I have a certain tendency to repeat certain things. I've developed my own style, if you will. If you hear someone that plays a particular style that you like, go for it. Adopt it as your own if it feels comfortable, and again, with flowing, you're just trying to kind of fill out the background. So I'm gonna give you a couple of just practical pointers on it. So let's go ahead and get started on some of that. I'm going to start with C, just because again it's easy, but really you could do this in anything. I'll do a couple other keys probably as well. But one of the things that you want to do is again not have too much going on, but at the same time be able to change things so it's not monotonous, and you can do this in a variety of ways. The first thing we're going to look at is just changing your chord progression. Now, if you have the ability, you always want to go ahead and have a pad or background sound. So if I'm gonna hit this real soft, you'll hear, see the little pad going in the background. That's just gonna help out. Just gives you some feel for your transitional silent spaces. See? Right, something very simple, it's pretty, it's not distracting. So if you don't have that ability, it's okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that because most of our campuses we have pianos or electric pianos where you can have a string or something on the background. So first I'm just going to start with just a very simple traditional chord, right? Got the 1, 3, and the 5. I went down to the 4 on my bass, but you see I stayed on the 1 right here. Because that sounds much less drastic than. I'm going to change everything to the 4. You saw how I was like, whoa, what happened there? You really feel that that pop there. So again, when you're doing flow, you want to have as smooth a transition as possible. So there's certain notes that are going to be harmonic within a major scale. Those are going to be your 1 and your 5. Those are your most harmonic notes. So you can actually just park on those. So as you can see, without doing a whole lot, you're able to kind of create that atmosphere, change the chords up a little bit, and you get a little different resonance there. So I'll even show you can get creative. Now practice this at home. You don't want to, you never want to practice on the altar. You don't want to practice on people. So you don't want to be in a moment where maybe God's really speaking through the preacher, and then you say, "Oh, let me try something," and all of a sudden you're like, and it just kind of throws everything out of whack. So take time and practice at home. Okay. So I'm gonna throw in a little more of an odd chord there. So we're starting with 1, 4, go to the 6. I'm gonna go to the 7 flat. All right. So if you notice, that's almost a little dissonant, right? That creates what's called tension in music. It's like you hear that and you're like, something's not quite right. It's not really wrong though, as opposed to having something like, you see, that's a lot more drastic. So the 7 flat is slightly dissonant and it's waiting to resolve, and it falls back on that 1, and now you have a resolution to that. Okay, so that just creates it makes you kind of feel like, it draws you in a little bit. So go to the 6, walk it down, oh, my bad. So you don't want to do that flow. I'm going to jump it up to that 7 flat. Now, one of the other things you want to do is, just again, I'm keeping the pattern simple right now as we talk a little bit about just a theory behind it. And we'll do some more fancy patterns here in a little bit. But one of the things you want to do is make sure you keep a count in your head. So if you've done any amount of playing at any of our campuses, really anything at all, you may have never noticed. But let me go ahead and pull a chord chart out here. This one's not too bad. All right. So if you notice with the music, it's kind of broken up in parts. So you have one full set of counts: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have another set: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You always have this kind of balance in music, if you will. So when you're going through your progressions, okay, you can kind of count in your head if you want at first. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Now you should start over here somewhere. You see how it's just like it's dragging on? Get lost in a count, believe it or not, sometimes that can be distracting. Okay, although you're not playing a song where people are singing along as they're listening to the speaker, just internally they've got a clock in their head too, because people are used to hearing music in a certain time set, and if you don't follow that pattern, something just clicks in their head, goes, something's not quite right, and they don't know what it is, and it causes a distraction from the speaker. So try to keep your blocks in those times. Not saying that you always have to, but it's a good idea to try to kind of do that. All right. So another thing is I want to talk about landing on a chord. That second part, you always want to try to land on a hard chord. So I'm gonna land on a 5, for example, right here, and you'll hear how it kind of just hangs up. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you see how I hung up on that 5? That's not a good place to just stay there. Your 5, typically you want to move somewhere off of that, or just kind of feels like, what's going on? Same thing, you're creating some tension there. And that's not good tension, because that's a little bit distracting. Just again, just real soft. And I've heard people say that sometimes they don't want to sound boring. One of the other things you could do is in how you build your chords, if you start using some different finger patterns and play around with it. See that? How we're actually, instead of going 1, 3, 5, now we're going 1, 4, 5, 1, 2, 5. Watch what it'll do for you. Started getting just a little more body to your melody there, and you're not doing a whole lot. So as you're starting out, if you don't have good dexterity in your fingers and you can't run up and down on the keys, don't feel like you have to. Sometimes when you try to do more than you can, it winds up just tanking out on you, right? So that's some pretty basic ones. A lot of times you can come in and you can start on the 6, and again, you'll notice I always keep my right hand in the 1. You don't have to, but that just creates a good transition as you're going from chord to chord in what we call flow. So. Somewhere, all right? So at some point, you want to get out of this, and a good place to go is either the 1, see how that resolved that, or you can even go to the 4. So we'll go 4. Oh gosh, you're getting all over the place. But really, the right hand could have kept doing the same thing. So, I'll show you another little pattern that's kind of fun to do. And I told you the 1 and 5 are harmonic. Well, what if you add that octave? Watch. That changes the dynamic by going from a 1-5-1 to a 5-1-5, same notes. Right? So just how you arrange your hands also will change, and basically all we did is change the pattern of the chords. So here I'm building up or walking up. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. See how just changing whether I'm going up or coming down, it changes the feel of the song. So again, if you're getting hung up and like I've been doing the same thing for a while, just change the way you play. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna run through a typical flow if I was playing flow in the key of C, and you'll see how I'll start. I usually typically always start off with the 1, 2, and 5. And I'll just spark on the 1 and 4 for a while. Because as I'm playing this, I'm actually looking at the person speaking, and it allows me something very simple that I don't have to think about, and I can just play. And then once I get a feel for what they're trying to do, what they're trying to say, I'm able to actually come in at that point and say, okay, I see where you're going with this. And I feel like it needs to stay mellow. I'll just put some little melodies. 3, 4, 5 of the root chord, which in this case is a C. And now all of a sudden, let's say he gets really excited, what I'll do is I'll start driving the bass hand. The atmosphere just got real soft again, I'll jump up and play it softer. So instead of being in the root position here, I'll go to the first inversion. So you saw how soft that just got? A build. Just parking on that one, and again you may be going, oh, I could never do that, but I'm not moving a lot, I'm staying in one spot, and so you start getting a feel for that. So I want to encourage you to do that, okay? And just kind of, sometimes you'll hear a hook in your head, you'll do something accidentally and you go, that sounds nice. It's another good way of changing things up. So if I'm in that same progression, 1, 4, 6, 4, watch how this changes now. So I'm going to stay in that hook for a while. Stay in the hook, but I want to change the sound and feel. So if you're not catching on, I'm playing a 7, I'm playing a 1, I'm playing a 5. So now I'm gonna split to an octave, and watch how this changes the sound of this. Now watch when I jump a full octave. See how it just resonates different? So you're still doing the same thing, but it's not boring because you're changing your pitches on there. Now I'm going to build off of this by adding a couple extra notes. I want you to watch how I do this. That's a new note. I'm just walking it down. So as you can see, just adding a few notes changes the dynamic of a song, but it really kind of still keeps that congruency of whatever flow you're in. Okay, so again, just tons of ways of doing things. I like using sustain chords sometimes just to kind of get a little tension, like I said, and relieve that tension musically. So let's go ahead and switch to D. Okay, if I'm D, I may come in here with a sustain. doing a second inversion. So on inversions, I'll cover that in another lesson. Go check out on just techniques. But if you take the first note of a chord and move it, that's the first inversion. Okay. If you take the first two chords and move it, notes rather, move it in the chord, that's your second inversion. So I'm doing this right now, which in theory would be taking this and playing this and not the first, but in the second inversion. So I'm in the second inversion of D. And I'm just playing sustain. 1, 5, 4, 4, 1. Right? And now go into regular D. Change because I changed where I played and I changed a little bit of the melody. So if you can do that, yeah, absolutely, you want to play with your melodies within the song. And I don't know about you, but I didn't find any of that was really distracting, like, you know, oh wow, he's showing off. It's just you're building again that atmosphere, and it gives you places to go to. And so again, there's no really right or wrong way. I would encourage you as you're learning, if you're hearing one of a worship leader that's leading, you go, ooh, I like that sound. What is she doing? What is he doing? Go and ask them. Say, hey, do you know what progression you were playing? And you know, they may tell you they don't know, because a lot of times I don't go up there thinking I'm playing this set right now. I just get up there and just start playing, you know. And so I may be like, oh, I don't know. I think I was playing this. They're not trying to blow you off on that. They really don't know. But most of the times I'll be able to say, oh, well, I was just kind of doing this, and say, you got a minute to show me? I want to practice at home. And most of our worship leaders will take that minute with you. Okay, so I hope again this has been a little bit of help to you. Remembering again what the goal here is not to attract attention, is to try to just stay filling in, creating an atmosphere, if you will. You can do that by changing the way you play your chords, changing your progression, changing where you play on the keys. And so just have fun with it. Practice at home. You know, practice, practice, practice. If you're not practicing at home, don't expect to do well when you get out there. If you practice, record yourself. If you hear it and you go, man, that doesn't sound like what I wanted to sound, man, I encourage you to just flip out that phone in church, hit record real quick. When someone's playing flow, say, okay, I got a little snippet, then go home and see if you can figure out what they were doing. You know, and if all else fails, email me, miguel.e@thechurch.fm. All right? So again, hope this has been a help to you, and may Yahweh richly bless you.